While virtually the entire world is focused on this story about the MQ-9 Reaper drone that was knocked down by the Russian jets, there's a much bigger, much more important story out today, and nobody is talking about it. It's going to change life in America in a way that was long ago prophesied, but nobody thought would ever come true. In today's video, I'm going to show you that story and also show you why most people will focus on this and not even go look for this other one. It's a huge ruling out of New York that should send shivers down the spine of any religious, moral person of any stripe, anywhere. Now, of course, those of you who are unaware, there was an MQ-9 Reaper drone, U.S. operated, over the Black Sea. It was intercepted by a couple of Su-27 flankers. They apparently, according to reports, dumped fuel on it. When that didn't get the job done, one of them collided with it. There's conflicting stories as to whether the drone flew into the flanker jet or the flanker jet flew into the drone. Either way, it damaged the propeller, and the operators of the drone had to bring it down in international waters in the Black Sea. The Black Sea is cut off from the rest of the world basically because of the issue in Ukraine. So now, technically, because there was no one aboard the drone, it can be classified as salvage and pretty much anyone can go get it. Now, it's a very old model of drone. There's nothing on it that is secret. So it's not that big of a deal for the United States, but they're making kind of a big deal out of it to try to distract you. But once again, as always, thank you to everyone who continues to join us over the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. Survival going forward is going to require and necessitate the ability to see past things like this and look at little stories, things that maybe the major news organizations are putting on page 2 and page 3, and see what they really mean. There's a huge one, a massive one today. And like I said, it should terrify everyone, because if you apply thought to it, what it means is that no Christian, truly, or anybody of any religious or moral stripe, in only a matter of a couple years, will be able to work in North America. Wait, what, Mucky? Yeah, that's right. If you are if you're Christian, if you're a Muslim, if you're Jewish, if you have any moral belief whatsoever, you will not be able to work or hold a job in North America. And that's coming. If you'd like to join us on Patreon to get read in on the tactics that give you the ability to see this, only $1 per month. Even less if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable first 90 days. No questions asked. Would love to have you. We can partner with Vimeo and we can take the gloves off and we can talk about things in an open, fair, and free manner. And that's going away shortly. It truly is in the public eye. It's about psychological operations training. 24 cognitive biases, 24 logical fallacies. When you absorb them, you study them, and you know them backward and forward, and you learn to look for them, an entire new world will open up for you. You will see things that people are focusing on, and you'll wonder, why are they focusing on it? And then you'll see other things that nobody's paying attention to, and it'll have giant red flags for you. These are the things that we need to do. Now, where do we need to start? 2 Corinthians, New Testament, 6 and 17. Very well-known scripture. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. Now, what does this have to do with anything going on in the real world? Court rules against employee fired for refusing to attend LGBTQ training session. Now, if you or I were to, a Christian, were to even suggest the idea of, I'd like to take some time at the end of the workday and just, I'm going to sit in the break room and I'm going to read scriptures for 15 minutes, it wouldn't be allowed. It wouldn't be allowed. Just even saying, I'm gonna do this out loud. Even if you said, it's not going to be an expectation that anyone out there would lose their job if they didn't adhere to Bible teaching. You couldn't say that. But you wouldn't even be allowed to have a moment where you would read it. because it would be seen as trying to push Christianity on people. But here, the LGBTQ training session would require you to be, regardless of what your personal belief was in your personal life, whether you were a Christian, a Muslim, or a Jew, while you were at work, you would be required to keep your job. You would be required to behave as if you were not a Christian. Because that's going to be part of the training. You are going to have to be accepting of things that your religion teaches not to. And like I said, that goes equally for Christians, Jews, and Muslims. This is a little bit more of an exposition on that scripture. Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. What fellowship hath righteous with unrighteous? What communion hath light with darkness? What concord hath Christ with Belial? What part hath he that believeth with an infidel? What agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God. And God said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord. And touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. And I will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters. This is basic teaching. Now, Belial, a Hebraic term, was thought to characterize the worthless or the wicked. The very etymology of the word often considered to mean the lacking of worth or value. In other interpretations, the word is thought to have meant yokeless, or to have no rising, a phrase for one not having the potential to achieve. Certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their cities, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which ye have not known. Now, this is way back in Deuteronomy. See, this is the fundamental teaching that we as Christians, and this is also taught to Jews and Muslims, I'm not discriminating here, that we are to behave in all ways and at all times in accordance with our beliefs. To make an exception for that 8 or 10 hours that you're at work is literally a violation. In fact, let me give you an example. You see, well, hold on, let me get to the proper picture here. What if at your work they decided that they are going to have Transgender Awareness Week, and they're going to require all men to dress as women and all women to dress as men. And they're going to make that a uniform requirement. Or, ladies, what if they were say you work at Walmart as a cashier, what if they had a sex workers awareness week, and they required that the uniform be something that sex workers would wear, and you would have to wear that to go run your cash register. And if you didn't accept that training and you didn't fall into that requirement, then you could be fired for discriminating. See, this is the terrifying thing right now, because that's what they're going to be able to do. And this is where I've been talking about a long time, where the money is going to come in. When certain entities, brick and mortar entities and other entities, realize that they can require their employees to act and behave in ways that draw in more customers, regardless of the morality of it, and then fire them if they don't, based on discrimination, then that's going to be it. That's going to be it. Katie, bar the door. It's going to be over. See, this is going to have a whole new take on it. See, it's not going to be about just tolerating anymore. It's going to be requiring your active participation and your active acquiescence to their agenda. If you don't, you will not be able to have any kind of a job. Any kind of a job that pays a real check, where they withhold a real job. You're going to be forced into the underground economy, the shadow economy. And that's going to have a whole new set of moral questions to answer, because then you'll be seen as a tax evader. You see, one way or the other, you're going to be driven into the wilderness. There's no way to possibly compromise. And that goes back to the original scripture, because even if you don't want to, you're going to be forced to. You're going to be forced to choose one way or the other. So no matter what, just like, by the way, just like the people who came to the New World, believe it or not, at that time, the people that were fleeing England and coming to the New World and leaving the purview of the king, they were seen as lowbrow. They weren't seen as heroes. They weren't seen as patriots. They weren't seen as freedom-loving, liberty-seeking. No. They were seen as people that were criminals and attempting to evade taxes and having the inability to live in polite society. And it was seen that way in France and Spain and England. And if you didn't toe the line, so to speak, you were persona non grata. That's what the real story of the New World is. And that's a level of psyops a lot of people don't want to wrap their head around. You watch The Patriot, with Mel Gibson and all that flowery stuff going on. That's not what it was from the 1500s to the 1700s, the 200 years that it took for the New World to become anything like a world power. It was just this place where people who couldn't seem to make it in the real world went to exist and went to be. And if we think about that in modern context, like who do we label as people that, that person just can't make it in the work world. That person just can't make it in real life. They're just undisciplined and they just can't do what they need to do. See, it's a little weird when you're on the other side of that equation because of a certain belief, because of a certain expectation that's been laid upon you that doesn't equate with what you believe morally. So this is the biggest story. This doesn't mean anything. This will be lost to the annals of history. Somebody will reference it and saying, well, it all kind of really fell apart when that Reaper drone went down. There were a couple of small banks that had collapsed at that time, and those were the beginning indicators, the few stones that started to roll, that started the avalanche. You see, that's what this is going to be related to. But this story about this court requiring an American employee sit through LGBTQ training, and not just sit through the training with the expectation that the training would then incorporate itself into the behavior of the employee in the workplace. See, a lot of people out there, well, I'd sit through the training, but I wouldn't pay attention to it. That's not how training works. That's not how training, you can't do that in the military, and you sure as heck can't do it for any big corporation. If you behave in any way differently than what the training has put forth, toodaloo, and you will not get one dime. You will not get one dime of unemployment because you refused your job. You refused to do your job in the way they said to do it. You weren't being laid off for financial reasons. You refused to acquiesce to what they wanted you to do based on, and if you've got millions and millions of dollars set aside to pay your bills and pay for lawyers, I guess you could try to challenge us in the courts. But not many people can do that. So I will leave it there. This is a really great video. The Legends of History is the name of the channel. The title, Belial, the Worst Fallen Angel, Angel and Demons Explained. I'll give you the link to this, and it'll tell you all about Belial. And this is where we're going. This is where we're headed. And once again, those of you who have showed up, stepped up to help the Florida Maquis at the Patreon channel, God bless every one of you. Truly, you have made a huge, huge difference in my life, and I humbly thank you. If you could join them out there, that would be absolutely wonderful. It's at the lowest allowable level, $1 per month, to create the speed bump. To create one financial speed bump is all you have to do to get rid of the trolls and get rid of the bots And partnering with Vimeo gives us the ability to get out from the prying eyes of those that would prevent us from speaking like we believe and what we believe. So I will leave it there. God bless. Have a wonderful week. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.